Good day everyone, I'm Shaina Manikilian and today I'm going to discuss the lesson 12 which is the oral presentation in the workplace. So what is oral presentation? Oral presentation is one of the best platforms where non-verbal cues are combined with effective verbal skills, adding a broader aspect to your communication. It allows individuals to present their thoughts and views confidently in front of a live audience. So now, let's proceed in planning a presentation to delivery. Although this task requires lots of efforts, ideas, and enthusiasm, therefore proper planning, preparation, and practice gets important if you really aim to deliver an effective oral presentation. Start with a plan. Obviously, a strong plan is required for conveying your thoughts and viewpoints related to the particular topic. For this, presenter needs to collect required materials and information, generate new ideas, and organize them in a proper flow. Prepare well before delivering a presentation. Initiate with a topic slide. This will provide viewers an opportunity to prepare themselves for attending the presentation. Add a rationale and do not forget to include conclusion. So I have here steps from planning a presentation to delivery. First, know your purpose. Understanding the purpose of your presentations allow you to tailor your content to ensure it meets your goal. Specific circumstances will vary and no two presentations are the same. But as a general indication, common purposes for presentations are to inspire, inform, or persuade. Second, focus on your topic. Third, know your audience. Fourth, gather reference. Fifth, outline your presentation. And sixth, deliver your presentation. And now, I also have some tips in delivering an oral presentation. First, talk to the audience. Know your audience, their backgrounds and knowledge level of the material you are presenting and what they are hoping to get out of the presentation. Deliver what the audience wants to hear. Second, less is more. Your knowledge of the subject is best expressed through a clear and concise presentation that is provocative and leads to a dialogue during the question and answer session when the audience becomes active participants. At that point, your knowledge of the material will likely become clear. Third, talk only when you have something to say. Remember, the audience time is precious and should not be abused by presentation of uninteresting preliminary material. Fourth, make the take-home message persistent. A good rule of thumb is this: if you ask a member of the audience a week later about your presentation, he or she should be able to remember 3 points. If these are the key points you were trying to get across, you have done a good job. If they can remember any 3 points but not the key points, then your emphasis was wrong. It is obvious what it means if they cannot recall 3 points. Fifth, be logical. Think of the presentation as a story. There is a logical flow, a clear beginning, middle, and an end. You set the stage, you tell the story, and you have a big finish where the take-home message is clearly understood. 6. Treat the floor as a stage. Presentation should be entertaining, but do not overdo it and do know your limits. If you are not humorous by nature, do not try and be humorous. If you are not good at telling anecdotes, do not try and tell anecdotes, and so on. A good entertainer will captivate the audience and improve his or chances of following rule number 4. 7. Practice and time your presentation. The more you practice, the less likely you will be to go off on tangent. The more presentation, the better you are going to get. An important talk should not be given for the first time to an audience of peers. You should have delivered it to your research collaborators who will be the kinder and gentler but still point out obvious discrepancies. Even more important, when you give the presentation, stick to what you practice. 8. Use visuals sparingly but effectively. If you have more than one visual for each minute you are talking, you have too many and you will run over time. Obviously, some visuals are quick. Others take time to get the message across. Avoid reading the visual unless you wish to emphasize the point explicitly. The visual should support what you are saying either for emphasis or with data to prove the verbal point. Finally, do not overload the visual, make the points few and clear. 9. Review audio and or video of your presentations. There is nothing more effective than listening to and viewing presentations you have made. Seeing what is wrong is easy. Correcting it the next time around is not. Work hard on breaking bad habits. It is important. 10. Provide appropriate acknowledgments. It is often appropriate to acknowledge people at the beginning or at the point of their contribution so that their contributions are very clear.
Good day, everyone. I am Joanna, and today I'm going to tackle the ethics in oral presentation. Learning outcomes. Identify the ethics in an oral presentation. Understand the concepts of ethics in an oral presentation. To know the value of preparation, to practice radical honesty, and to reflect on a learning experience. So, what is oral presentation? An oral presentation is also known as public speaking, and where an individual is presenting verbally to the audience about the topic that aims to educate, inform, entertain, and or present an argument. Ethics in oral presentation. First is to never waste the time of your audience by being unprepared. When presenting an oral presentation, the presenter should be prepared for what he or she is presenting. The presenter should know what to share or to convey to the audience or listeners to be understood clearly. The consequence of not being able to prepare the oral presentation is that there will be a tendency that the audience will absorb and gather the wrong information of the concept, ideas, and thoughts of our argument. For example, Liam was tasked to prepare an oral presentation regarding cyberbullying,
You
but due
don't know
to
what to
failing
do.
his task to prepare, what to share with his audience or listeners. Note that being unprepared for the oral presentation may lead to misleading information. Second is make sure that you have a valid purpose or objective in making the presentation. While presenting an oral presentation, we need to have a valid purpose or objective because it is important to relay or convey what are the key points of the information of our arguments. The main objective and purpose of an individual while presenting the presentation is to establish a good connection to the audience by informing, persuading, and educating. Find ways in how you can establish it by making your own purpose and objective of your presentation. Okay, the third is never distort information for your own advantage. For short, avoid misleading or twisting the information for selfish motives. We should establish honesty and share accurate information with the audience without manipulating it for our own good. Our credibility will be affected if we commit unethical acts, such as discrediting someone and or misleading the information when presenting it to our audience. Our arguments should contain facts, and if you're not sure about the topic, you better not use it. Next, for the fourth one, is never use abusive language or name call as it will offend your audience. When presenting our arguments, we should be sensitive at all times. Why? To avoid offending our audience. It is better to share information while being sensitive. Always be careful in choosing words to utter because, again, it will affect our credibility and weaken our arguments. Okay, for the fifth one, cite your sources. Never claim an idea as your own, even if it is not. This is to avoid plagiarism or copyright from the owner. It is important to give credits to the owner of the data or information that we gathered because it is not ours, but to the author. We don't have the right to steal someone's work because it is their property and not ours. But you can paraphrase it and make a new version out of it. But always remember to give the proper credit to the author. For the last one is be courteous at all times. When delivering or presenting, we should always be courteous to show how respectful we are to our audience and to establish an effective way of communicating to them. This is to improve our relationship to our audience, our listeners, and also to improve communication skills by being professional, considerate, respectful, open, and honest. So that's all for the ethics in oral presentation. Thank you and have a nice day.
So hi everyone, my name is Catherine Nimbadan and together with my partner.
I'm Aljun B. Marani.
So we are going to report the essentials of business writing letter. So first, writing. So what is writing? So writing, it is an essential activity of any business, academic, or industrial organization. This aims to inform and persuade intended readers. So next, so what are the advantages of writing in a form of spoken mode? So these are the advantages. First, they allow the writer to have the time to think about the message she wants to convey thoroughly. Second, they are more accessible and can be retrieved by the reader at any time convenient to him or to her. Third, they present the message in details because of the allotted time they are given. Lastly, it can be documented and filed. So business letter. So an effective business letter elicits the expected response from the reader. This can be achieved through concise, tactful, and accurate writing style. So a business letter serves several purposes such as for sales efforts, for complaints, for information dissemination, for relation building, and for problem solving. So we have here the business letter parts and function. First is we have the letterhead. So letterhead, it identifies the writer, his, her address, and the contact number. Second, we have the date. It is placed between the letterhead and the inside address. So it should never be used in a plain numerals for date as it may create a confusion. So instead of using this 02/02/16, use the February 2, 2016 or 2 February 2016. Third, we have the inside address. So the inside address, it identifies the reader's name, position, and the company address. So it should be placed immediately below the date. So fourth, we have the attention line. So attention line, it is used when the writer wishes to address the whole company but wants to bring the attention to a particular person in the company. So it can be written in two formats. First, we have the attention, Peter Birkin. Second, attention, Peter Birkin. So we have here the fifth, the salutation. So it refers to the writer's greeting to the reader. It can be appear in a different formats. First is we have Dear Sir, Second, Sir, And third is Dear Mr. Birkin, So we have here the 6 parts. So the body contains the message of the letter. So paragraphs are single spaced internally, but double spaced to separate the paragraphs in the body. So if the letter is too short, the body can be double spaced or triple spaced to separate the paragraphs.
So in 7, complementary clause. These are the functions of complementary clause. Sorry. It It is an expression used to end a letter. Below is the level of formality of implementary clause. We have highly formal, less formal, polite and formal, informal and friendly. In highly formal, we have respectfully yours, respectfully, very respectfully. In less formal, we have sincerely yours, yours, cordially. Polite and formal, we have very truly yours, yours very truly, and yours truly. Informal and friendly, we have as ever, best regards, kindness regards, and regards. 8. Signature block. It includes the signature and the type name of the sender. The type name can be in all caps. So we have two examples here. The first one is all in capital letter, Peter Birkin, and the other one is on CLC format. 9 part is the identification. It indicates the typist initials if the sender is not the one's initials who personally typed the document. 10. Enclosure. It indicates the attachments to the letter. It can be notation written in the following formats: enclosures, enclosure, enc./encl. 11. Copy notation. It indicates the name of the secondary recipients of the letter. It is indicated by CC, which means carbon copy or courtesy copies. So we have three formats of business letter. First is full block, second, modified block, and the third one is semi-block. So we have here example of full block. This is the example of full block format. Full block format, every component of the letter, heading, address, salutation, body, signature, and identification enclosures is aligned to the left. Also, first sentences of paragraphs are not intended. The entire text is left aligned and single space. Next is modified block format. This is the example of modified block format. Modified block format differs from block style in that the date, sign off, and signature lines begin at the center point of the page line. The beginning of each paragraph is intended 5 spaces, along with the subject line, if used, depending on the length of the letter. Paragraphs may be separated by a single or double line space.
So we have here the semi-block format example. So semi-block is similar to block but has more informal appearance. So all elements are left aligned except for the beginning of each paragraph, which is indented 5 spaces. In this form, paragraphs are separated by a double line space. So we have here the tips for writing a letter.
So first is use a language that is appropriate to the target readers.
Second, arrange your ideas logically.
Third, use a direct but tactful tone.
Fourth, use the active voice in most of your sentences.
Fifth, when writing, put yourselves in the shoes of the target readers.
6. Use correct format, punctuation, spelling, and grammar.
And lastly, specify the receiver's name. However, if it is impossible to get the name of the receiver, use a generic title such as the Human Resource Director.
Okay,
So
so
that
that's all.
concludes our report.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Our topic for today is memorandum. What is memorandum? Memorandum is a business correspondence which aims to inform and persuade target readers who are within the organization. A memorandum is a written message that is typically used in a professional setting. Commonly abbreviated memo, these messages are usually brief and are designed to be easily and quickly understood. Memos can thus communicate important information effectively in order to make dynamic changes. Similar to news writing format, it follows inverted pyramid structure. This means that the most important information comes first. Most important information tell us about an event, who, what, where, when, and why. Supporting data and examples, the, the crucial information expanding the topic. Least important information, extra information. 5 types of memo. Number 1, instruction memo. Instruction memo provides information that the readers need to perform accurately. A notice directing to employers to undergo physical checkup is an example of this memo. Request memo. Request memo asks readers to provide certain information or take certain action. An example of this memo is when requesting a fund for a seminar. Number 3, announcement memo. Announcement memo provides information about an event, person, or thing. An example of this memo is when announcing a meeting. Transmittal memo. Transmittal memo serves a cover note for a more formal or lengthy document. An example of this memo is when transmitting an annual report to the members of the board of directors. Number 5, authorization memo. Authorization memo gives permission. An example of this memo is when allowing an employee to study on Saturdays. What are the advantages and disadvantages of a memo? Advantages of memo: it reaches a larger number of readers at the same time. It provides a written record that can be accessed anytime. Number 3, it allows a detailed and accurate delivery of message. Memos are very simple in form and easy to use. As memos are written and very brief, it saves valuable time.
And now, let's proceed to the disadvantage of memo. First is it is not built to convey complex topics, since memos are generally used for short texts. Since memo cannot convey complex topics, we can still convey simple topics, wherein a memorandum letter is limited up to 255 characters. Therefore, it is important to be more sensitive in choosing our topic in creating a memorandum letter. Next is it takes time to reach distant branches and offices. Since memorandum letter is a written message, it is typically being handled through long process because we need to deliver it in order to send it to our specific recipient. Therefore, it really takes time. And the third is it is more expensive than email. Since memorandum letter is a written message, we need to pay it because we need to deliver it to our specific recipient. So it is really more expensive than email. Unlike email, we can easily send it to our receiver. And now let's proceed to the parts of the memorandum letter. First is the letterhead. It identifies the writer, his or her address, and contact numbers. Date, it is placed between the letterhead and the inside address. 2, line, it indicates the name in the title of the receiver. Attention line. It is used when the writer wishes to address the whole company but wants to bring it to the attention of a particular person in the company. From line, it indicates the name of the sender. Subject line, it announces the main content or topic of the memo. Body, it contains the message of the memo. Identification initials, it indicates the typist initials if the sender is not the one who personally typed the document. Enclosure rotation, it indicates the attachments to the letter. And copy notation, it indicates the name of the secondary recipients of the letter. So this is the example of memorandum letter. All parts that I've mentioned is, we will identify it here. The letterhead, the sender, the letterhead, the date, the subject, the body, in all, we can see it here. And generally speaking, the parts of memo is really essential because probably without those parts, our memorandum letter would not be complete. The overall content, the message would not be precise, would not be clear. However, if we want to make a good memorandum letter, we must consider and appreciate the importance of each part and also the purpose as well. And now let's proceed to the tips in writing a memo. First is use bullets, numbers, and letter to list information. Second, use a positive tone, active verbs, and concise wording. 3. Use heading to improve the readability. 4. Eliminate grammatical and typographical errors. 5. Use correct format and structure. 6. Put your initials in a signature form beside your printed name as a sender. 7. Flash the memo heading to the left. To line, from line, subject line, and date line. And 8 is say thank you or state a directive action. In creating a memorandum letter, we will not just focus on the content, the structure, the overall appearance of the letter, but we must consider the good etiquette or manner in writing it. Even a memorandum letter is informal form of communication, it's still a way in sending messages such as personal information, communicating policies, procedures, um, government and business purposes within an organization. Therefore, it is really important to have a good and effective insight in creating it. Maybe we will make it through an informal message through the use of proper tone, simple words, and also we will write it with respect, especially towards our sender or the reader of our particular memorandum letter. In short, in creating a memorandum letter, we must consider our attitude in creating it. And that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Jane Giban. So today we will be talking about electronic mail or also known as email. So a computer-based application for the exchange of messages between users. So this involves two persons communicating with each other. Okay, let's proceed. So, today's agenda. The first agenda is the advantages of email. Second, disadvantages of email. Third, tips for writing an email. Okay, let's get started. So, electronic mail is the advent of technology has introduced us to a new form of business communication. So, this is email communication. In fact, one study in the United States showed that 98% of employees consider email as extremely important. So employees consider email as important of their lives. So without email, it would be hard for them to send mail for one another. So the advantages of email is first, it reaches the target fast. It doesn't take days, it doesn't take months, only seconds. Second, it confirms acceptance or rejections easily. So if you do not want your sender or your receiver this email, you could just delete it. So third, it is less costly than letters and memo. So on each word of this email, you will not have to pay for it. So fourth, it can easily reach the farthest parts of the globe. So unlike the mail, email could take only seconds to message the person or the family you want to send a message for. So the fifth, it is environmentally friendly. So email does not harm our environmental. So sixth, it is easier to document. So you could just type it out in your new technology and it will be all sent. Okay, so let's proceed. So there are also disadvantages of email. So the first is it is prone to hacking and technical glitches. So for example, you want to send to your sister what's your bank account and the email is the only communication you know of. So you accidentally send it to another and that person will hack your bank account. So be careful for this. So second, it can cause information overload. So as a businesswoman, if you're a businesswoman, so there will be a lot of email you won't be able to read. So it will be mentally draining for you because it will overload your inbox. So third, it can be used to transmit computer virus. Yes, it can be. So some people, anonymous people, they will send random email to people and they don't know that what's the message of that email, so that person will click the email and they don't know it's a virus. So those are the disadvantages of the email. Okay, let's proceed. So there are also tips for writing an email or a memo. First, make the subject line informative or descriptive of the memo content. Make it easier so that your receiver will understand what your message is. So, keep the subject line simple and short. Do not make it any more longer. Just get your context there. Do not change the subject line when you are replying to an email. The to line should remain the names of the primary reader and secondary readers must be placed in the CC line. So there will be two lines there. The first is the primary reader and the secondary reader must be in the CC line. So ensure the correctness of the email address of the recipient. So you don't want your email to be sent to somebody you don't want to receive your message for. So make the file name of the attachment document meaningful. Instead of using a letter want, use request underscore letter underscore Barat. So this will be easier to find your file. And never use all caps in the main text. This is unacceptable and unprofessional. So state your purpose in the first sentence of the memo so your receiver will be aware what your context is about. So if the message is sensitive, compose it first using the word processor. And the last one, avoid emoticons and informal jargons like LOL, BRB, and informal memos. So you don't want your receiver reading LOL in a formal memo, right? So make it formal and simple. So those are the tips for writing an email or a memo. Okay, that's all. Thank you and have a great day.
Good day, everyone. I am Aymari together with Miss Juanitas. So today we will be discussing about the minutes of the meeting. So before we go to our main topic, I have question first. So how many times have you attended a meeting, whether it's a informal or formal meeting? So how can you rate it or it was organized? So let's define first the word meeting. So what is meeting? So meeting defined as an occasion when people come together to discuss or to decide something. So meeting is an important activity in organization. It is held for many purposes such as to solve problems, to inform people, to make decisions, and to make policies among others. So minutes of the meeting. So what is minutes of the meeting? Minutes of the meeting are a descriptive report that provides a written record of what transpired during a meeting. In short, the minutes are the summary of the proceeding. So what is the purpose of this? So the purpose of this is to inform the absent member about the discussion and the decision made, and it serves as the record of discussion for future reference. So in doing the minutes of the meeting, the secretary are the one who are assigned in taking down notes about the meeting and summarize it. So here is the example of the minutes of the meeting. So few days after the meeting, the presiding officer through his or her secretary sent out the copy of the record of what was discussed during the meeting. So this record is what we call minutes of the meeting. So based on the example given in writing the minutes of the meeting, it includes the name of the organization or the name of the company, so which is the CNE University Literature and Languages Department, Malate, Manila. And next is what kind of the meeting is being conducted, and the call of order, which is include the date, time, and location. So minutes of the meeting, it is a special meeting, March 19, 2016, from 14 o'clock to 15 o'clock, room 123. Presiding officer, Dolor Quirol. And the next is the roll call, which is the attendance, and it should be indicate the present participant and the absent participant. So let's go to the middle part of the written minutes. It is the proceeding or the main purpose of the meeting. So first is the reading and the approval of the last meeting. Proceedings. The previous minutes of the meeting dated February 22, 2016 were approved with the following corrections. First is the attendance. Ms. Rena Avila was not late. In the opening prayer, Ms. Aying Corona should be addressed as Dr. Aying Corona. Second is the business arising. Business arising from the previous minutes of the meeting. So first, we have the attendance will be closely monitored by the checkers. Second, the chair will recommend the increase in salary. And third is the new business. So in new business, we have the faculty. The chair explained that one of the bases of non-hiring as a breach of contract. The chair directs all faculty members to dismiss the class on time. And also we have the administrative concern. The chair asked the subject coordinators to inform their teachers about the guidelines of for submitting the final papers. And the events coordinator announced that there will be a business correspondence seminar on April 22, 2016, 13 o'clock to 17 o'clock to be held at the Galang Auditorium. So also we have a academic matters. So the chair reminded the faculty to improve their classroom management skills. Second is Ms. Yasai reiterated the checking of attendance at the start of the class. And fourth is the announcement. So the announcement, Dr. Macau announced that there will be a Eucharistic celebration on March 21. The chair informed the body that CNE University has been granted an autonomous status by CHED. And the fifth is the other matters. Other matters. The chair announced that 2 faculty members from the department will attend a seminar organized by the Linguistics Society of the Philippines. The chair reminded the body that an appointment is required before a student can have meeting with the chair. And the sixth is what time adjourned. So the meeting was adjourned at 15 o'clock with a prayer led by Miss Catherine Carlota. And the last is the name and the signature of the secretary as well as the presiding of the meeting. And next, let's go to the standard elements of the minutes of the meeting. So the first elements is we have a introduction. So in introduction, it includes the name and the address of the organization, type of meeting like special meeting, executive committee, board meeting, regular and emergency meeting. And third, we have then call to order. Call to order, it consists time, date, and preceding officer. And last is the attendance. So the next reporter, which is Ms. Guanetes, will be discussing further about the standard elements and the tips in writing the minutes of the meeting.
I am June Duanitas, and I will be continuing the report for the standard element of the minutes of the meeting. So the second element is the body. Body lists the actual items to be covered during the meeting. When possible, use actionable words such as approve, discuss, adopt, and announce. Reading, correction, and approval of the previous minutes to let the participants know what is expected of them. For example, I move that the minutes of the meeting dated March 25 be approved as corrected. Second is business arising from the previous minutes of the meeting. Third, we need to list about the new business, what is the agenda of the meeting, such as this, the A agenda 1, B agenda 2, and C agenda 3. So the next slide is the last standard element of the minutes of the meeting is the conclusion. Conclusion is most minutes typically end with the meeting adjourned. Minutes are signed by the presiding officer of the record or the assigned person. Although, if the secretary is a voting member of the group, then the secretary's signature alone is often sufficient. In the conclusion, we need to list down the announcement, including the time of and date for the next meeting, and also the other matters such as the next topics new topics that need to be covered in the future meetings. Then third is we need to list down the time of adjournment. We need to take down notes of how many minutes or hours does the meeting takes. The fourth is the name and signature of the minus taker and the presiding officer. Then the next slide is the tips for preparing the minutes of the meeting. First is use the meeting agenda as a guide in organizing the information in your minutes. Second, summarize the major points of the meeting. Then never include the name of the seconder of the motion unless ordered by the body. Make sure that the minutes are factual, free from editorial comments and subtle slanting of factual statement. Record verbatim parliamentary points such as motion, resolution, and points order. You must include the name of the speaker. Next is enter the number of votes on each side in matters that require voting. When the meeting includes voting of both sides, we need to take down notes for it is important also. Focus on the action taken rather than on the topics. Type the minutes as soon as the meeting is finished. As I've said earlier, we need to take down notes. How does the meeting takes? How many minutes does the meeting takes? Next is number all the pages. We need to organize the number of all pages so that it is easily for us to find. For it is easily for us to find the topics of for the important details of the meetings. Be objective, let your own personal bias cloud your accuracy in taking down notes. Use single space preparing the minutes. Then place the corrections made in the previous minutes above the affected line or in the margin. And the last one is never throw out the original minutes, for it is important. And that will be all for this lesson.
Good morning, everyone. So, I am Shiname Ota, and I am tasked to discuss to you about our topic that is from lesson 15. But first, let me ask a question. What is a document that presents information in an organized format for a specific audience and purpose? So this question talks about our topic for today, which answers, and is all about report. So, are you ready to learn our objectives for this day? Our objectives are first, what is report? What are the types of report and the types of informal report? Now, what is report? A report is a type of business communication that provides an update about a project or event that is related to an organization. And its primary purpose is to inform or persuade the target reader, who is usually the immediate superior of the writer of the report. So essentially, a report is a short, sharp, concise document which is written for a particular purpose and audience. It generally sets out and analyzes a situation or problem, often making recommendation for future actions. So, a report is a factual paper and needs to be well structured and concise. Now, there are two types of report. The first type is the formal report. Formal reports are usually lengthy and they cover complicated topics. So, a formal report is an official report that contains detailed information about research and data that is necessary to make business decisions informative or analytical, and they discuss a certain problem in depth. So, some of the examples of a formal report are the inspection report, audit report, annual report, and feasibility reports. So the other type of a report is the informal report. So unlike the formal report, which is lengthy Informal reports are shorter and is usually not more than 5 pages. And it deals with a specific events or aspects of an organization. So, informal reports have three common types. These are the progress report, incident report, and trip report. So, what is the difference between the formal report and informal report? Aside from formal report is lengthy and informal report is shorter. So, formal report follows a detailed structure and is often used in academic papers or lengthy overview in a business. While informal report, however, can be structured in any way and is typically used for shorter documents. So that's it for the first part of my report. Thank you for listening. Once again, I am Sheena May Ota. And for our next topic, let's discuss about one of the informal type of report, which is the progress report. Have a nice day.
Good day, everyone. My name is Seong Christine G. Kim, and I'm here to discuss about the Lesson 15, the first topic of informal report, the incident report. In this discussion, we're going to learn about the purpose, structure, types, elements, and analysis of the incident report. So, what is an incident report? It is a document that details the facts related to an incident at the workplace. The report usually relates to an accident or injury that has occurred on a worksite, but it can also pertain to any unusual worksite occurrences such as near misses, security lapses, property and equipment damage, and health and safety issues. Every company has unique guidelines when filing incident reports, and how one organization operates on a day-to-day basis is most likely different from how each and every company operates. This is an informal report, so you can copy an exact format or template, or we can use a simple guideline that bespeaks your organization system and procedures. But the structure and the essential inclusions are just the same. Here we have the structure of an incident report. The first one is the problem description. This section narrates the event related to the incident. It includes the people involved, time, date, place, and the problems. This section needs to be clearly narrated in a way that the reader can visualize the event. The second one is the actions taken. This section states the actions that were taken by the sender or by personnel directly involved in the incident during or immediately after the incident. The last one is the recommendation. This section provides some suggestion on how the incident can be prevented from happening again. In this structure of an incident report, we should also use the general format of a report, which include the introduction, body, conclusion, and sign-off. That includes full name and signature of the incident report writer for accountability and record keeping. What are the types of incidents that needs reporting? The first one is the unexpected events. These events include unexpected incidents or accidents that result in fatal, non-fatal physical injury or serious psychological injury to workers. The second one is the near miss. These events include incidents or accidents that had the potential to cause harm but did not do so. The third one is the adverse events. These events are related to adverse reactions to medicines, vaccines, or medical devices used for treating a medical condition or situation. The last one is the awareness events. This involves reporting any risks of potential incidents or accidents that can take place in the line of duty. The risks could be faulty or malfunctioning equipment or the lack of safety equipment, training, and controls. So, these are the elements of a good incident report. The first one is to be accurate. Incident reports should be clear and specific. Avoid using vague statements. you have to always proofread the report to check for typos and spelling errors. For the second one is you have to be factual. Be objective. You have to avoid opinions and biases because incident reports should be reliable and supported by facts only. The third one is it has to be complete. It has to cover essential questions such as what, where, why, when, and how, and provide all the needed details for study and investigation process. For the fourth one, you have to be graphic, including photos, diagrams, and illustration in the incident report help support the facts stated. More pictures means more evidence. And the last one is you have to be valid. Conclude the incident report by getting all the signatures of all the people involved. In this next slide, we're going to discuss about how analyzing this report can help organization. It helps organization to prevent more serious accidents. Comprehensive incident reporting can help any business understand what is going wrong and what could go wrong regarding the workplace safety. With this insight, an organization can fix a health and safety issue before it becomes a bigger problem and can cause serious harm and damage to employees or property. Improve other health and safety measure in the workplace. You can think of incident reporting as something that can improve other health and safety measures in the workplace, such as risk assessment and reporting potential hazards. Even by complying with all the best risk assessment and hazard reporting procedure with due diligence, incidents or accidents can still happen. Giving this feedback through incident report can help your company identify the weaknesses or blind spot in your current health and safety procedures as well as risk mitigation solutions. By having this information, you can have proactive steps to improve them. Save time and money. Lost time and costs caused by injuries can be reduced with incident report because of how incident reporting can help prevent more serious accident and improve workplace health and safety procedure. Protect the company from financial losses and bad reputation. Instill a sense of confidence in the employees or boost overall well-being to your employees because having a healthy incident reporting culture in the workplace shows you that you are committed to your staff's and customers' safety, which can improve productivity and overall well-being of the organization and its staff. This is an example of an incident report, which is about a worker in a company that discovered that their data was breached by an attacker who captured various passwords from their departmental employee, which allowed them to access restricted parts of the organization's local network. We see here the problem description, actions taken, and the recommendation. And that concludes my discussion for this topic. Thank you. Good day everyone, my name is Seyong Christine G. Kim and I'm here to discuss about the Lesson 15's trip report. So, what is a trip report? A trip report is to record track of new transactions and knowledge gained, as well as to summarize overall findings and conclusions after a business-related trip. It is an informal report as it uses standard document format to help organize your material into widely accepted arrangement. Its primary purpose is to document contacts made, lessons learned, and to summarize overall observations and conclusion, all in a format that can be shared with others in the organization. Some trips that require a trip report is inspection of site, attendance in a conference or convention, or participation in a training program. In a trip report, we have four parts. The first one is the background, discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. This section provides basic information about the trip. It also includes the header, opening of the report, such as from and to, date, duration, purpose, the destination, and the rationale for the trip. This section also identifies the candidates that joined the trip as well as the person who authorized the trip. For the second one is the discussion. This section contains the details and findings obtained from the trip. It includes the observations, contacts, sessions attended, and problems encountered. In this part, we want to let the reader know what the trip was, why you were sent there, and the expected result. For example, you might write that you went to a trade show in China to meet important clients, prospect new ones, and check out other competitors. For the third part of the trip report is the conclusion. This section represents what you have accomplished from the trip, such as sales made or linkages established. It also assesses if the trip was successful or not. This is the summarization of the report where we describe what happened at the event in terms of how or if we met the goals for going there. We should also include if we fell short in our goals and expectations for us to be not questioned twice, as our failures can be a lesson for you and for your colleagues. For example, if you went to a trade show and you were not able to meet any promising new clients, at least you might have solidified relationships with longtime customers and learned new information about other competitors, which could lead to more business and better products. Because it is out of question that you have not learned or gained something relating to the company during the trip. So, for the last one is the recommendation. This section presents suggestions to make the next trip more successful. It also recommends a certain step that company may take relevant to its own growth and advancement and indicates whether the trip would be recommended to other colleagues. In this part, it is important to give suggestions and examples of events such as skill, knowledge, and information gained during the trip or anything that could benefit your company. For example, the improvement of your skill and knowledge about a specific software during the trip can benefit the company to decrease the needs to hire outside vendors as you can share your knowledge and ideas to your other colleagues. The sample provided in this page is an unclassified trip report detailing about their trip in Burma. This is a two-page trip report containing only the important detail that must be known in the said trip. We can use this sample as a reference if we want to write a brief and straight to the point report. For the next slide is tips on how or for writing a good trip report. The first one is to do some research upfront. Review the trip itinerary and meeting agenda and get a sense of direction a lecture, meeting, or conversation might take, or determine what information will be of value in the given environment. We must also focus on the moments that include our areas of interest and make notes of topics that were unexpected but valuable because preparation allows you to be strategically focused. The second one is to stay organized. Being organized is just a trip necessity, and assembling information for a report is no exception. You must make sure that you are referencing your source and keeping track of time and date that information was discussed. Be sure to get the contact information from anyone who provides you with valuable information so that you can contact them with any follow-up questions. We must be sure to jot down keywords, phrases, dates, names, as this information can be a valuable source of information later. For the third one is to be consistent. Try to keep your note-taking structure consistent. Pick a format that works for you and stick with it so that your notes are structured the same way each day and on each trip. In keeping with the organization step, consistency will help save time during a report writing phase. For the last one is to review your notes. Occasionally review your notes to ensure that they make sense and that they are thorough. And we must also remember that you should plan, organize, and write your report of the following convention of business genre. and following the correct writing conventions such as grammar, punctuations, and the usage of the words. That concludes my discussion for this topic. Thank you.
Good morning once again. So, since we've already talked about the overview of our report, now let's discuss about one of the informal type of report, which is the progress report. So, in this presentation, we will talk about the introduction, the objectives of a progress report, its organizational patterns, and its structures. So, what is a progress report? Progress report is a type of informal report which provides an update on the completion or status of a particular task or project. So these updates are used by the management to make decisions about the personnel involved, budget, and the timeline of the project. This is used for projects that have many steps from set to completion and are issued at regular intervals. So, progress report is a document that explains in detail how far you've gone towards the completion of your project. So, in other words, progress report is a management tool used in all types of organization, which outlines the activities they've carried out, the task that is completed, and the milestones that was reached vis-a-vis your project. So it is typically written to give an updating information to a supervisor, colleague, investor, or client about a project. Now, let's go to the objectives of a progress report. First is the completed tasks since the last report, the tasks that are in progress, the delays and their causes, the resolution of the problems encountered, the remaining works, other tasks to be done, and the target completion date of the tasks. So, why is it important to include these objectives on a progress report? Well, it is important to include these objectives because it improves the transparency and accountability of the personnel that is involved in the project. It also improves the project's evaluation and review, and it provides insights for future planning. So now let's talk about the organizational patterns for progress report. So the recipient of the project, may it be your supervisor, your colleague, or the client or investor of the project, is interested in learning about what you've accomplished so far, what you're working on now, and what you plan to work on next, and how the project is progressing in general. So there are 3 organizational patterns that you should include on your progress report. First is to focus on time. So this shows the time period, like the previous, current, and future tasks completed or scheduled to be completed in each time period. Next is to focus on specific tasks. So this shows the order of tasks, like defined milestones and progress that are made in each time period. And next is to focus on larger goals. So focus on the overall effect of what has been accomplished on your task or project. So aside from the organizational patterns that you could use or you could incorporate in your progress report, we also have the structure of a progress report. So information can also be arranged by report topic, whichever organizational strategy you choose. Progress report should likely contain the elements that is in the structure of a progress report. So the first one is the introduction. In the introduction, it should include the purpose of the report, the period covered by the report, its brief summary, and the main progress to date or since last report. So the introduction should review the details of the project's purpose, scope, and its activities. The next one is the body. In this section, you should give the reader a clear idea of the current status of the project. So the last part is the conclusion. So in the conclusion, it includes the evaluation of current status, the forecast for project completion, and the willingness to make adjustments, and the contact details. So in this final section, it provides an overall assessment of the current state of the project and its expected completion, usually reassuring the readers that all is going well and on schedule. It can also alert recipients to unexpected changes in the direction and scope or problems in the project that may require intervention. So that's it for the progress report. An important note, the purpose of a progress report is to give clarity on the progress of a project and not to describe every single aspect that is currently happening in the project. So that's it. This is Sheena May Otta, and thank you for listening, everyone. Have a nice day ahead.
Good day, everyone. So for today, we are going to report the lesson 16, which is the proposal. So my name is Queenie, and I am the first reporter. Lesson 16, proposal. So when we talk about proposal are classified according to how they originate and where they are sent after their written distinctions. So this means that proposal is a written documents designed to make a persuasive appeal to the audience to achieve a defined outcome, often proposing a solution to a problem, much like a report with several common elements and persuasive speech. So there are 4 types of informal report. The first one is solicited internal. Is one in which the recipient has requested the proposal. Typically, a company will send out requests for proposals or RFP through the mail or publish them in some news source. This means that the solicited proposals or solicited internal proposals, when a company has a particular problem to be solved or a job to be done, it will solicit or invite proposals accordingly. You do not have to spend time identifying the company's problem. The company will notify you and the other competitors by preparing a request for proposals or RFP. Actually, RFP, it helps you or us to understand what the customer wants. It's often extremely detailed and even tells you how the company wants the proposal to be prepared, which is a set of instructions that specifies the exact type of work to be done along with guidelines on how and when the company wants the work to be completed. So the second one is unsolicited internal. Unsolicited internal proposals are those that are not requested by the recipient. When making an unsolicited proposal, you may need to persuade the recipient that there is a problem or need before moving on to the major section of the proposal. This means the unsolicited internal proposals, it is a self-initiated proposals that follows a memo format and is used when the sender and recipient are both from the same organization. It is also used when the target reader has not yet discovered that a problem exists and no decision has been made to solve it. So the third one is solicited external. Follow a letter format. Is used when the sender and recipient do not belong to the same organization. Is used when responding to a specific request from someone who does not belong to the same organization. is used when a problem has been identified, is used when the decision to solve the problem has already been made. It means that the solicited external is a document that is aimed to persuade an organization or an individual outside the company. It could be delivered to a potential client you've never worked for before or a prior client. So the fourth one is unsolicited external. Follows a letter format, is used when the sender and recipient do not belong to the same organization. It is a self-initiated proposal, is used when the target reader has not yet realized that a problem exists, is used when no decision has yet been made to solve a problem. It means that the unsolicited external proposals imply to those proposals that are submitted to a donor without them asking for it. In other words, an unsolicited proposal is initiated by the applicant and is submitted to the donor. So in dictionary, unsolicited proposals defines them as a written but informal bid proposals or quotation submitted on the initiative of the submitter and not in response to any formal or informal request. And writing an unsolicited external proposal, you have the liberty to use your proposal template and you don't have to follow any application format. Actually, external proposals are more formal than internal proposals. Structure of an informal report. It should be noted that there is no single prescribed structure for an informal proposal. The structure may vary from one organization to another. Nonetheless, almost all informal proposals have the following components. So the first one is introduction. In introduction, there should be the purpose of the proposal. B, description of the problem that needs to be solved. There should be the nature of the problem, effects on the company, causes, the deadline for solving it, and sources of data. Next is scope or limitations for the proposal. This should be the information covered by the proposal, includes method, cost, and timetable. So the second one is detailed discussion of the purpose solution. It refers to the technical solution that the implementation agency will give in response to the project's needs and objectives. This means that you are going to inform the stakeholders or client about the problems and suggest actions that could be taken to remedy these problems and describe the benefits that will occur when the desired result is achieved. So that's all for my report. Mr. Pantenople will continue the report.
So, good day everyone. I am Paul Alfred C. Pantenople and I'm going to continue the report about structure of an informal report. So, third is justification of the solutions. Arguments that support the proposed solutions, research that supports solutions, the companies that have already used the proposed solutions. Justification of the needed resources such as equipment, personnel who will be do the work and their qualifications, time, frame, and cost. The budget required for the solution is broken down by category: personnel, equipment, transformation, and etc. So in other words, the justification of the solution is that you must have a solid support to justify your solution in your proposal, such as websites that you search in or a personnel that has already used the proposed solution to support your proposal. So here are some examples of how to write a proposed solution. I propose we purchase 12 of the used all-day Proof Student electric pencil sharpeners. These sharpeners have received strong reviews on the Office World website. In addition, Central Elementary School purchased these for all their classrooms for a weeks ago, and their principal has told me how well they still work. So as you can see, there are support solutions such as World Office websites, and the support there is the strong reviews on the internet. And other one is the principal of the Central Elementary School, and their support use these products for weeks ago and so helpful to them, especially to the pupils. So this support is enough to justify your proposal. So the last structure of an informal report is conclusions. The conclusion states the problem and the proposed solution and ends on a positive note, encouraging the reader to act on the proposal. Benefits and risk of adopting the proposals. Call to actions and contact persons for further conclusions. So in this stage, the conclusion is that at the end of your proposal, you must have a positive note to encourage the reader to agree to your proposal and share with them what are the benefits and the risks of your proposal or the possible outcome of that proposed solutions. And here are some examples of how to write your conclusion in the proposal. In conclusions, I think purchasing new electric pencil sharpeners for each classroom would be of tremendous benefits to St. Mary's School. It would put an end to the constant frustration of the students never being able to find sharp pencils and of losing instructional time because of the length of time it takes to use our current sharpeners. Thank you for considering making this purchase for our teachers and students. So as you can see there are positive thoughts and benefits to St. Mary's School, such as time management and easy to use other than the current sharpeners. The other benefits here is it ends the frustration of the students to find sharp pencil sharpeners, and that is easily them to use. And it is also important to end your proposal by saying thank you to the readers or the stakeholders. So these are the most important tips on how to write an informal proposal. First is anticipate the possible criticisms or objections of the target reader and address them to your proposal. So in other words, avoid possible criticisms of your proposal to address the reader. Second is describe the problem and the solution accurately and clearly. Yes, you must describe your proposal clearly and accurately so that your reader easily gets what your point in that proposal and it is not hard for them to understand it. Third is correct all grammatical and typographical errors. This is important, especially when you are dealing with the professionals, reader, or stakeholders. Fourth is ensure that your proposed solution is feasible, especially regarding cost and schedule. So make sure that your proposal is achievable and especially it cost and schedule, and give them visibility, variances, and proposal. And the fifth one is highlights the benefits of proposal to the target readers and stakeholders. So it is easily to them to understand your proposal if you highlight the important things so that it is not hard to them to get what is the main point of the proposal. So the sixth is make the documents visually appealing. This is important because make your proposal documents of your PDF presentable so that your audience or reader will have an interest to listen your proposal. So 7, put the target reader, context, and proposed in mind. So put forward your reader an idea for considering your proposal output. And 8 is use attachment for less important information. So this is also important in your documents or in your PDF, because if you put all this information that that is not important to discuss in your proposal, your reader or audience will get bored and lost interest in listening to your proposal. So second to the last is use proper headings. This statement is part in doing your documents to make presentable to the reader. And the last one is use the format required by your organization. If none, then use suggested standard format. So here are one of an example of how to do a proper informal proposal. So here, as you can see, there are the 4 structures. The purpose, present solutions, statement of the problem, and the conclusions. So that is how an example of how to make an informal proposal. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and that's all for the lesson 16. Thank you and God bless.